Hi, I'm inside of Instant Maze Generator, and I wanted to show you a quick video on how I do my mazes. I think you'll find this helpful for when you're creating mazes too, especially if they're complex ones for adults. So the first thing we're going to do is create a collection, and I'm just going to title this 1, and then we're going to go into View. And now we're in our mazes. So I want to upload an image. So I have to find that. Okay, so I'm just going to drag and drop. So this is the original image. And I click on it and then I click insert and there's our image. And it's white filled. It's a white filled PNG. So you have to have these elements, all of these elements be white filled when you're using the Instant Maze Generator, otherwise it won't turn out right. So all of these elements have to be white filled. So it has a transparent background except for all of these areas that I want to be created into a maze. But let me show you something, what happens when two elements are separated. So there's an element here and an element here. So there's two elements on the page. So I'm going to create a maze. And then you can see, I'm going to move this over, you can see right here that the moon and the little planets didn't turn into a maze. They turned into these blocks. So then this kind of loses, its purpose. It's like, what does that look like? I mean, what is that? You can put that here like this, but that doesn't make any sense. No one really wants this on their page. So what I've been doing is this. Now I use Photoshop for this. You can use Photoshop or a different platform. So I just clipped out the planets. So now we just have the fairy sitting on the pedestal. So I'm going to create a maze from this. So there's our maze. Okay. And then I'm going to download it as a PowerPoint file. And you get this when you get the Elite version. Okay, so there's our maze. So I'm just enabling editing. So now we have a maze and we have the fairy in the background. So this is what I've been doing. For the fairy in the background, I like to leave that image there. So what I've been doing was kind of moving this over and taking the fairy and going to picture format and then going to transparency and lowering the transparency until it's a really light gray. So about 65% here. And then putting the maze back on top of the image so you can see the image behind the maze. It makes it look a lot nicer because then you know what it is. If you're just using the maze, you can see wings and a pedestal, but you don't know what it is. So instead, I use the background image in a gray format. Now what I want to do is add back my planets. So then I just click and drag them in. And then I already cut this out using Photoshop. So then I can just move this wherever I want it to be. So now that becomes a colorable element. So whoever, if you're publishing coloring books or maze books or activity books, now this is a colorable element that the person using the book can color in as well as create the maze. I like how that looks much better than the blocks of how it looked before. And then here's our maze solution. And then you're done. So all you have to do now is just save it as a PDF and upload it or create a whole book or whatever you want to do. So I thought that was really cool and I wanted to show you that. So I use Photoshop to do this, to cut these out, but you can use other programs as well. Just make sure that your fairy is a PNG, so it has a clear white transparent background, and that you fill in the areas with white. Alright, so that's all, and you can get the maze generator through my link. I have more information on what each level means and which one I recommend to go with. So if you have any questions, leave a comment below, and I'm glad to answer, and happy creating!